Are you aware that the stock of Tesla is expected to reach $1,000 in the near future? Considering the company's recent stock market performance, this would appear improbable. To learn more about this, stay watching and tuning in. A prediction among seemingly unachievable ambitions for the price of Tesla shares indicates that the stock will soon be valued at $1 million. Naturally, these forecasts could turn out to be accurate or inaccurate. But as of right now, nobody can say for sure because a variety of things influence the economy, which in turn affects stock prices. You'll see why the price of Tesla stock is expected to reach $1,000 in today's video. The process of determining rates, the Federal Open Market Committee raised the benchmark funds rate to 1.5 to 1.75%, which is the highest since March 2020, right before the start of the COVID-19 epidemic. In what amounts to the most aggressive rate hike since 1994, the Federal Reserve launched its largest offensive against inflation to date by hiking benchmark interest rates by 0.75 percentage point. Chairman Jerome Powell stated, obviously, today's 75 basis point increase is an exceptionally large one, and I do not expect moves of this size to be common. However, he went on to say that he anticipated a 50-75 basis point hike at the July meeting. Meeting after meeting, choices will be made, and the Fed will keep making our objectives as transparent as possible. We're looking for advancements. Powell continued until inflation flattens out. It cannot decrease. We might act quickly enough if we don't see progress. There will be some advancements. According to one often used metric, OMC members suggested a significantly stronger path of rate rises ahead to stop inflation from advancing at its quickest pace since December 1981. The midpoint of each member's target range indicates that the Fed's benchmark rate will end the year at 3.4%. This represents a 1.5 percentage point upward revision from the projection from March. Subsequently, the committee projects that the rate will increase to 3.8% in 2023, full percentage point more than the March projection. Personal consumption expenditures, which measures inflation, also increased to 5.2% this year from 4.3% last year. Core inflation, on the other hand, which takes into account rapidly rising energy and food prices, is projected to be 4.3%, up just 0.2 percentage points from the previous estimate. With core PC inflation of 4.9% in April, Wednesday's predictions call for a reduction in price pressures in the upcoming months. Despite increasing inflation, the committee's conclusion presented an overall positive picture of the economy. According to the committee's summary of economic projections, inflation is expected to drop significantly in 2023 to 2.7% in the headline and 2.6% in the core, with no change from March's estimates. In the long run, the committee's policy view is pretty close to what the market anticipates, with many rises expected to bring the funds rate up to roughly 3.8%, the highest level since late 2007. Large organizations such as Tesla may experience some breakout or breakdown as a result. With a 1.7 yen, Tesla stock is currently trading at $7.12. Even though Tesla's stock appears to be rebounding from its recent decline, the anticipated inflation could still have an impact on it. Analysts' opinions diverged when Tesla revealed the amount of deliveries, which was less than anticipated. While some raised their target price for Tesla, others dropped it. While analysts at Deutsche Bank continue to see promise for Tesla, JP Morgan has opted to lower their price objective for the company. Analyst at Deutsche Bank Emmanuel Rosner predicts that Tesla will surpass $1,000 this year. As Rosner stated in an interview with CNBC's Closing Bell Overtime, I think a lot of the concerns about Tesla have been around the ability to produce, or essentially the supply side. He continued by saying that the majority of the second quarter's difficulties were expected given that Shanghai's COVID shutdowns were the cause of them. According to Rosner, Tesla actually delivered more than they had anticipated, which was in line with what the street was ultimately hoping for. He continued pretty robust execution despite those challenges. Is it possible that Tesla stock will hit $1,000 this year? Tell us in the space provided for comments below. Rosner also explained their continued optimism for Tesla. He remarked Tesla basically declared in its press statement that June was the greatest quarter and month in history in terms of output. This indicates that some of these production problems are actually being lapped. China has resumed its course. He claimed that the second half is especially promising now that the factories are operating normally. The corporation is retooling Shanghai at the moment in order to increase capacity by an additional 300,000 units. Additionally, it's increasing the quantitative shifts in Berlin, says Rosner. They therefore predict that the second quarter will be very robust, and by 2030, even more so. Emmanuel Rosner responded that they can monitor the wait periods for a car once a reservation has been made, using their current data when questioned about his opinions on the concern over the rate of demand. Given the possibility of a worldwide recession, according to him, wait times have generally not decreased. Whatever the model is, whatever the geography, you would have to wait several months, often into 2023 to get your Tesla, he stated. Despite Tesla raising prices 10 times in 2021, and again, several times in 2022 to keep up with inflation, there is currently no indication that this will have an impact on demand. Actually, there are a lot of things about Tesla to be excited about, including the much anticipated Cybertruck. In 2019, Tesla Inc. unveiled the Tesla Cybertruck, a light-duty truck powered solely by batteries. The outside shell of the Cybertruck is designed for maximum durability and passenger safety. You're getting with an almost impenetrable exoskeleton, every part, from Tesla's armored glass to the structural skin made of ultra-hard 30x cold-rolled stainless steel, is made for exceptional strength and endurance. The Cybertruck is the most potent tool that Tesla has ever produced, capable of carrying up to 3,500 pounds and including an adjustable air suspension system. Designed with a sturdy enough to stand on magic tonneau cover and 100 cubic feet of external lockable storage. And aside from this, the two Tesla products that people are eagerly anticipating are the Semi-Optimus humanoid robot. Regarding Tesla's critical price points, they are presently in the $700, $800 range. It can either explode or collapse severely. It is anticipated to fluctuate in price between $650 and $700. Keep in mind that this is only an estimate of the EV company's short-term price. The risk of inflation and a worldwide recession appears to be the most significant of the many variables that can impact the stock market. Fed policymakers are beginning to reduce their enormous bond portfolio, which totals almost $9 trillion at a rate that will cap at $95 billion each month in an effort to make 2022 an even busier year. But the biggest danger is that the effects of the U.S. central bank on economy already suffering from the highest level of consumer inflation since the early 1980s are more negative than positive. Inflation is also caused by shortages and bottlenecks in the supply chain, which the Fed cannot directly regulate by hiking interest rates. The economy no longer requires training wheels, but you also don't want to take them off, says Ryan Sweet, Moody's Analytics Senior Director of Economic Research. The Fed must take it slow with this. This year is going to be extremely difficult. Thus far in 2022, markets have also been tense as investors grapple with the increasing threats of recession. The Chicago Board Options Exchange's index measuring market volatility has increased by 46 this year, while the C500 has decreased by over 14 thus far. Although that was before the Department of Labor's consumer price index revealed that prices had risen to a new 40-year high of 8.6% in March. Fed policymakers expected inflation as of March drifting down to 4.3% later this year. Next month saw a slowdown in price rises, with increases of 8.3% over the previous year. However, after gas prices surged to a new record high in May and June. They peaked at $4.96 per gallon on June 8. They may pick up again, although there will likely be some decline in inflation when the pandemic and supply chain delays pass. There's also a good chance that inflation will persist longer due in part to the COVID-19 lockdowns that are still in place overseas and the current crisis in Ukraine. Greg McBride, CFA, chief financial analyst at Bankrate, states, we are not going to get back to 2% inflation with persistent supply chain disruptions and a war in Europe disrupting commodity markets. The amount of rate hikes is going to overcome either of those. It is therefore hoped that when interest rates rise, supply side problems would also start to ease. Check out our other videos on our channel for more information about Tesla stock.